In the third and final part of our Porsche Legends DLC showcase, we're taking a look at the last three cars, including this one, the Moby Dick Porsche 935/78. Let's do it! What's going on, guys? My name's Martinio and welcome back to Project Cars 2 and the third and final part of our Porsche Legends DLC pack showcase. And again, we've got the final three cars to drive, and the first one we're going to be driving is the counterpart to the one we drove at the end of the last video, which is the Porsche 935/78. Absolutely identical in terms of stats, so we're just going to get a couple of laps done. I want to see what the differences are, because they look similar. There are some aesthetic differences with each of them, as you would imagine from under the 3 years of development of the car. But I want to see if it feels any different driving wise, because if it does feel exactly the same, then I question the logic of having it in here. God, I can't speak today. Right then, so let's go. Right then, down towards the first corner. Yeah, it feels a bit similar. I think maybe it feels just a tad heavier, possibly. And I don't know, maybe it's because they feel so similar that I'm going much quicker this time around, or it feels like I'm going a lot quicker. Because, like I said, they do feel very, very similar. Ooh, okay, that was a moment. But, yeah, I mean, it's a case of just, you know, pick one. Pick one or the other, don't put both of them in. I mean, there's so many Porsches out there. They could have done the very early Spider. They could have done the first Porsche road car that they mentioned, which was, you know, partly the reason for the release of this DLC in celebration of the release of Porsche's first road car. They could have put that in the game. I mean, I know it's a road car, but if they're going for the whole nostalgia thing, why fill up the game with several cars that are basically aesthetically and performance-wise exactly the same? I don't get it. See, a 43.8. I think we did a 43.5 at the end of the last episode, so see if we can't get an identical time. We're about 3/10 off at the minute. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like the car. Obviously, it's a legendary car. Any car that gets a proper nickname, like this one does, which I think is the Moby Dick, is, you know, a legendary car. But like I said, while there are so many different variants of legendary cars, and, you know, some people probably say, well, I would have preferred the 7.8, and other people will say, I would have preferred the 7.881. You can't please everyone, but again, I just question the logic of putting near enough identical cars in the game, especially when a DLC is £8. You want variety, you want value for money. You don't want to be retreading old ground. But that's just my opinion. If you have a different opinion or a similar opinion, let me know in the comments, guys. We're just come through this tricky chicane, which I'm starting, I think, to get the hang of that chicane now. I must admit, like I said, I've said it in previous videos, this circuit is really growing on me. I really do like it. It's a challenge, but at the same time, it's really enjoyable. And like I said, we're coming down to my favourite section now, this bus-stop chicane. And what I will say about this car is, even when it does sort of get out of shape, it does still feel very, very good. and it's easy to bring back. So we did a 41.8. Okay, so this one's a lot quicker than the last one. But again, I think that's just because they feel similar. So it's like driving the same car again for another couple of laps, and you just start to learn things. But yeah, so what we're going to do now is we are going to jump into one of the other final two cars, which are the road cars for this DLC pack. And we're going to see what those are like. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay then guys, we're back, and as you can see I've decided to go with the Porsche Carrera GT, and yeah, obviously this car gained a lot of notoriety a few years ago because obviously this was the car that Paul Walker and his friend were in when they were killed tragically, but I have fond of memories of this car, and it came from very early on when Top Gear restarted with you know, this was when it came, you know, when it was just Clarkson, May and Hammond, not very old Top Gear in the early 90s. And it was Clarkson just battering this thing around the Top Gear test track against a McLaren SLR. So yeah, and this was a little bit different to a lot of the supercars from that sort of era because as Clarkson said, it didn't have one of those stupid flappy paddle gearboxes. That was probably a terrible Jeremy Clarkson impression, and if Jeremy is watching, I apologise. But yeah, so we're going to take this for a spin. We're going to take it for a couple of laps and see what it's like. You need to remember that this is a road car, so the brakes are probably not going to be as responsive as some of the other cars I've driven today. Probably should have driven this first, if I'm honest with you, just so I can get those bad late braking habits out of me. Very understeery, I'll say that, and also the gear ratio seems very, very, you know, low, geared towards acceleration rather than top speed. And the brakes are absolute garbage. They really are terrible. Oh god, we're in the bloody gravel trap. So I don't know, maybe for this one, Porsche just strapped four calipers to bin lids, and like I say, and it will not. Once you get it slowed down, you can't. It's so hard to get slowed down. I know this was the supercar at the time, but honestly, at this point, I'm not impressed. I'm kind of dreading the fact that I've got to go for another lap in this thing. Yeah, I was expecting something a lot better. I mean, honestly, in this game, I'll be honest with you, and not only this game, but also other games like Gran Turismo Sport, it really annoys me when DLC comes out and it has road cars. I don't want to drive bloody road cars. I want to drive racing cars. That's what I want to drive. But I know some people do like driving road cars and doing the whole, I don't know, track day sort of, you know, get the whole track day sort of feel. Especially in things like Gran Turismo Sport. But, yeah. Gear ratio is very, very low. Brakes are absolutely pathetic. But I suppose the noise is quite nice. I think maybe I just have to drive it like a road car. Where's the indicator? Yeah, so you know, the rear end's a bit off. The steering feels good, but like I said, the steering is basically useless if you can't get the thing slowed down to actually turn the corner. So I'm going to really pump the brakes. I really engage the lock as well. Christ almighty. So if you're planning on driving this, first port of call, brakes. Second port of call, steering. Third port of call, depending on what circuit you're on, would be the gear ratio. Yeah, I'm having to properly go full on, like, full on lock on this thing, just to get it through some of those hairpins. Ooh, we're on the grass sort of place, I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to be just straight up honest here. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. I'm not going to blame the car. It's just I don't like road cars in racing games. I really don't. I don't see the point of them. So it's not going to be an impressive time, but honestly, we invalidated the lap before we even started it because we cut across the back end of the bus stop chicane. Yeah, so Porsche Carrera GT. not really a fan of it, to be honest with you. But we've got one more car to do for this DLC showcase. So I'm going to jump into the final car. Hopefully that one's an improvement on this one, but I don't know. I don't hold out much hope. Okay then, guys, we're back, and as you can see, we've got the final car for this for the Porsche Legends DLC pack, and it is the Porsche 959S. So yeah, don't really know quite a lot about this car. I know there was a lot. I know this was the car that was derived, I believe, in order to satisfy the regulations for Porsche to enter the Group B Championship. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to take it for a couple of laps. We're going to see if this is an improvement on the Carrera GT we just drove. So let's go. Oh, actually, I need to get the right view. Yeah, the weird thing I found just sitting there was the fact that the wheel was trying to turn. I don't know why. Maybe this thing is possessed. But I think I remember something like this in one of the original and early test drive games, which I really enjoyed. And honestly, just from the first corner, this feels so much better than the Carrera GT. Obviously not as fast as the Carrera GT, but I like it. It is. It feels very stable, very tight. And when you hit the brake pedal, it doesn't just kind of stare blankly at you, wondering what to do, unlike the Carrera GT. And that's surprising, considering this car is, what, a good 15 to 20 years older? So yeah, I think I recall this car, one of these, one of the early cars of this, one of the early models of this car, was gifted or purchased by Boris Becker, and I remember there was a story he told where he was just absolutely hammering the living crap out of this thing down the German autobahn. So it can go. I mean, it's top speed. It can reach nearly 200 miles an hour, which for late 80s was, I'd say, pretty impressive for a road car. I think it's pretty impressive for any car, but for a road car in the late 80s, I think, very impressive in my opinion. Ooh, okay, we almost hit those tyres. But we didn't, we survived. However, well, we survived, the traffic cone didn't though. I'll be sure to send some flowers to his family. Ooh. So, even though it does feel quite civilised, it does feel quite heavy. It is a bit understeery. But, yeah, I like it. I do quite like it. I don't know whether it's just because it's maybe a bit slower and it's a bit simpler to drive. There's I think a lot of people just kind of shy away from the slower cars, but it's slow and it's boring. But I don't know. I think it's I actually like this car. I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's probably not something I'm going to be driving maybe ever again. I may do it for for fun sometimes, but I don't know. For what it is, I think it's quite good. Gearing's a bit long now, because we're not getting out of fourth down the longest straight on the course. But yeah, the big thing is, of course, like I said, when you hit the brakes, it actually starts slowing down, which is good. Although the steering is a little bit heavy. But it kind of feels like a road car in that respect. That the steering's not, the ratio is quite high, of course, and it has to do more than just take 90-degree corners on a racetrack. It has to do things in the real world. Apart from carrying shopping, of course, because I don't think this was geared towards that particular crowd. Right then, so through the final few corners and through my favourite section, this Parabolica-esque corner onto this old Spa bus stop chicane, which I think I'm getting better at every time I come through it. And yeah, what time are we going to get? We got a 57 last time. Let's see if we can get a 56 maybe. Oh, a 55.4. That's pretty good. But yeah, guys, so that's the end of the video and the end of the Porsche Legends Pack DLC showcase, I guess. A pretty good pack. Honestly, I think that they kind of trod old ground a bit too much for this DLC, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of, you know, you've got various different variations of one of the cars, which we've already touched on. But yeah, an enjoyable DLC pack. If you're a Porsche fan, I think this is an essential. If you're not, then I don't know. I mean, you could probably take it or leave it, but there we go. But that is the end of today's videos. So thank you everybody so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, you would like to see more Project Cars 2 and racing content from myself, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if this is the first of the Porsche DLC showcase videos you've seen, then make sure you go check out the first 2 videos as well, where we drive the other 6 cars. But yeah, and also let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think of this Porsche DLC pack? Are you enjoying it? Are you taking it? Are you leaving it? Are you not happy with it? If so, why? Let me know in the comments, guys. Always happy to hear from you. But again, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll be back tomorrow with some Need for Speed and maybe some gravel as well. So yeah, take care, and I'll catch you all in tomorrow's videos. Peace!